there, Shauna Karish here, coming to you with some Ask Shauna answers. I've been so busy lately in the past 9 months that I haven't gotten a chance to get around to as many of these as I'd like to. So now I have a whole stack of Ask Shauna answers that are going to be coming your way. Anyway, so let's start with our first one. This one is from Jessica, and she says, "Hey Shauna, about 6 months ago I got my first horse. She's a 2-year-old, congratulations by the way. She's a 2-year-old thoroughbred. I started her with a pressure release method and we've come quite far. She's going on very short walking rides, and today was her first clicker training lesson and she did great. I'm really looking forward to working with her at Liberty, but I'm concerned about how to create boundaries with her so that I can stay safe. Earlier in her training, she accidentally kicked me out of excitement. It was a happy kick. Her hoof barely grazed me, but I have lost a lot of confidence on the ground, especially around her hind end because of the incident. I was wondering if you had some tips on how to create boundaries and how to overcome fear of your horse's hind end. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts." Jessica and Khaleesi, and that's a beautiful name. Anyway, yes, so Jessica, some of the things, and when we think about positive reinforcement, we tend to, people almost think it is, they can just do whatever they want, whenever they want, and that there aren't any boundaries. And there still are boundaries. Every relationship in the world that's healthy has healthy boundaries. And it needs to be the same with our horses as well. So what I would, and part of this is going to, but it doesn't mean like we have to get after them or anything, but we need to say, you know what, if you're going to be, we need to, kind of set those boundaries. And sometimes when she's over threshold, too much, too excited, too over the top, we need to kind of say, give her away, give her something to do that can help settle her. And if that doesn't work, then we need to walk away for a few minutes till we can kind of come back at in a calm place. But this can actually start really, really early in the training. And so what I suggest you do is, and another thing we're going to work on through this process is impulse control. So young horses especially, but a lot of horses, but you have a young little horse and they don't necessarily, haven't really rehearsed or practiced impulse or emotional control. So when they feel something, they just do it, and we need to kind of teach them to practice those skills. So one of the first things I really highly recommend you do is, as you start doing the training with her, look for calm relaxation. So as we kind of establish, I want calm energy, if that makes sense. So I want them bright and attentive, but not over aroused, not overstimulated, not feeling manic, but just feeling like, hey, hi, we're ready to go, but not like, hey, what are you doing? And getting too amped up. And I see it a lot that people don't, at first we kind of think it's neat, but then it can lead to some really problematic behavior, and it's not a good mindset for our horses. And so that emotional component of training really carries over to the things we do later on with them. So what you want to look for is that calm relaxation. So let's say you come up to her stall or her paddock or wherever she lives, and she just looks like, oh my gosh, you're here, you're here. Well, that, even though it can feel flattering, and it's kind of neat to see, it's too much excitement. We want it to be a little flatter. So if she just seems too manic, and what will happen, because all the elements of the training become a conditioned reinforcer. So as you come up to her and start the training, if she is like that, she may develop what's called the superstitious behavior, where she thinks that was part of creating the training or getting you to do the training with her. So what I suggest you do is, if she seems a little too much, I would just kind of step away for a second. You can just text on your phone or do something, just ignore her for a few minutes, but step away and keep an eye on her. And when you feel like she kind of calms back down, so she's kind of like, well, I guess you're not coming, and she kind of settles, then I would start. So she starts learning it's the calm and relax that will help to get you to be able to start the session, and that will carry over to all other things. We want her default to behavior to be to calm and settle. And so that's one of the places you can start with some of that. And that's really an important component, and you can start that from early on. And then if she starts to get a little too excited, if you just stop for a minute, oftentimes you'll see them start to go, oh, I better settle and keep my head away. So it's really important that we work on that relaxation as an important component of the training. So utilize that throughout. And if she gets too excited, take a time out for a second, stop for a moment, and help her to refocus, or give her a behavior that generates calm and relaxed, and I know what to do with this. There's a couple components that can be part of this equation too that you might want to address. If a horse is too over aroused, sometimes I will you know, and I don't think she's this place, but sometimes I'll back all the way away and start all over again. But another thing I might do and start all over, really focusing on that calm and that relaxation. But I don't think that's necessarily your situation. I think it's just you're talking about a baby who can get excited when you want to play. But but also sometimes if they're a little too overexcited, I'll use a lesser quality reinforcer. So instead of maybe, you know, something they love to get, I'll use something that's maybe not quite so exciting. And on the other side of that coin, if I have a horse who's very slow and not all involved, I'll use something more exciting. But anyway, so those are things to keep in mind. So look for that calm and relaxation throughout. As you're working on that, keeping the head away and minding the manners, which is the very beginning parts of the training where you just want to say, it is ever so important to have the head turned away. Part of that is a relaxation. So if you haven't so far, I want you to start looking for relaxation. Now, at first, it may not be the complete relaxed softness that you want to see, but it will be, you can shape it to that behavior. So look for the softening of the eyes, the softening of the muscles in the neck and the head and the nose and the nostril and the lips and the ears and all those little things as they start to soften and relax. So it might be not completely where you'd want it to be, but look for that. So pretty soon, when you just stop for a moment, they'll think, when in doubt, just keep my head over here and kind of relax into that, just waiting patiently. And that's really important. I think the most important behavior in the whole entire world is standing quietly with us, without pushing, without nudging, without excitement, without running through every behavior under the sun. If I just stand, I want them just kind of stand and relax with me, you know, and not check out. I want them to be paying attention, but I want them just to be kind of nice, calm, and relaxed. So work on building that in. Now, as I said, another component that's really important and is something that'll really help us with the training is if we work on that impulse control. And the impulse control is just something that young horses haven't really learned how to do yet. And there's a really simple exercise that can help them to develop some impulse control and help them to start practicing that. And it's just, I like to do the liberty leading. It's really a simple exercise, but as you do, and you have to start really kind of little tiny steps first. So you start and you have them so they know, turn their head away and relax and stand quietly with you. And then I take a step or two. And now when you take a step, she may go, oh, bucket, 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 and go back to thinking I can do all that. But she might not. Now, if she just takes a step and stays with you, you can click and reinforce for that. But let's say then you walk and then you settle back down. When she kind of is bringing that energy back down, I click and reinforce that. So now you've stepped up the energy just a little bit, but then you've asked her to come back down to that halt and that relax, keeping her head away. And so what she's learning to do is go up, but then the reinforcement happens, the click, the bridge signal, the positive reinforcement, all the good things happen when she's actually bringing that energy back down. So you start really small, because if you go too big, she just may, you know, they can get carried away very quickly. So like, we get to do something. So I go really slow at first, so I really can set them up for success. And then I take that step back down, say relax and calm into it, click and reinforce. And then as that's going good, take 2 steps forward and then calm and come back down. And then as that's going forward and you can walk and stop and she's really good and she's looking forward to the stop, and you can click or bridge on some of the going, so some of the walking, but more often than not, when I'm really trying to teach that impulse control, I'm going to click more for the downward transition and the bringing the energy back down. So it's really an effective tool. Now, on the other hand, I've worked with horses who are really slow and sluggy, you know, that you're like, oh, please move your feet. And then all their clicks, or the majority of their clicks in the beginning, are coming for the upward transition. But with a horse who's kind of trying to learn impulse control or has more energy than not, I tend to work on that downward transition. So now as you got it, and you can go a little bit, she comes back down, a little bit, comes back down, she stops with you, she stops nice and square, everything is great. The next thing I would do is walk up, do a bigger, faster walk, and then come back down. Again, clicking as she's bringing it back down, the downward transition or even the halt. And then as that goes good, move it up to a couple slow steps of trot and then back down to kind of big steps of trot and then back down and moving up like that. And what you're going to do, you're going to start building a really strong reinforcement history with a downward transition, with that bringing it back in, bringing the energy up, but most of the reinforcement comes when that energy comes back down. So the default behavior still is that relax, calm, bringing it back down. And that's an excellent way to go. And then as you move on down the road, as you're doing things like free jumping and energy things, she'll really remember that downward calm, relaxed, the downward transition, the calm, the relaxed mindset is the thing that works for her. So I hope that makes sense. If also when you're going along she starts to get too much, you can, like, where, you know, horses kind of go and wind around you when they get a little excited, you can utilize the target to help direct that and help regulate her pace and her speed, and also where her head is. So like a lot of horses who, as they start walking, they want to kind of curl around you and face you. If you use the target, so the head of the target is out here and she's right beside you, you're shoulder to shoulder, you can, as you stop, push the head of the target out a little bit. Her head will go out to follow the target. It'll keep her shoulders over there a little bit, and then and likewise the target will be stopping and slowing down. So that will help set her up for success. But ultimately we want to be able to fade all these tools out and just have it be a normal practice. So those are things I think that will really help you and your mare to get, and with her lovely little Khaleesi name, and to get these things worked out. So I'd love to hear how it's been going, what you're doing. I'd love to hear a progress report. Anyway, so Jessica, I hope that helps you out. If you have more questions or anybody else has questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me at ShaunaKarish.com or AskShauna.com. And until next time, enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye.